We're back in the garage today, and today we're going to be tackling that mess right there. I'm going to show you how to put a door back together that's seen better days. Welcome to Tin Horse Restoration. Guess where I'm going? All right, back at the paddock. Did you know how to sing the song? And working on the Bruno's belly. Yeah, I'm working on Bruno's belly. Do you know, I could spend multiple episodes just going over the bottom of this car over and over and over again and bore you to death. All right, so what we've got here today, what we've got here today is an old set of doors that I have. There's the handle up there, and the tops of these doors are in great shape. This is original paint, and I know this is original paint because these doors came from a car that I bought back in '99, a parts car. And if you look along here, we don't have any rust. We don't have any damage. We've actually still got the holes that the mirrors, the side mirrors were attached to. Around our door handle, no rust, everything looks good. For the keyhole, no dents. This door's never been in an accident, doesn't have any Bondo in it. That's the original paint that came on the parts car. I bought it from the original owner. But what we do have to deal with is this mess down here. So we're gonna build this back together. And if you remember a while back, I picked up some parts on Marketplace. And in those parts were 2 door bottoms. So we're going to use these door bottoms today to put this door back together. Now, normally, when you're doing body work, if you watch all the other YouTube videos that tell you how to do body work on doors and redo doors, they tell you to do the doors while they're on the car. The problem that we have is that because we're using one of these replacement panels, we don't have the luxury of tilting this panel to make it fit perfectly on the car. We have a body line here, and that body line is going to meet up with the original body line that's on the door. And by doing that, we're going to have to live with these folds that come on the replacement piece. We can tinker with them a little bit, so that'll be the last thing we're doing. But we're basically going to build this door in the hopes that these panels are correct. So that's where we're going to start. And what we have to do is cut this front off to expose that underneath. Get this cut so it's ready to go. That means we can get inside and work on the inside here. And we're going to rebuild the bottom of the door first, flip it over after we've cut it. And then we're going to put the skin, the new lower door skin, back on. So let me get set up. We're going to start by scribing a line that I've already done here. I got this on as perfect as I could get it and as straight and as lined up as I could. And I scribed this in a line based on the top of the panel where we're going to butt weld it together. No overlapping here, butt welding. And we're going to show you how to do that. All right, so let me get this all set up. Get ready to cut this piece. Let's get at her, eh? You'll notice here I cut the line about a ½ an inch down from my scribe line. All right, we've hacked out the bottom of the door, and that's exposed the bottom that needs to get repaired. So we're gonna flip it over now, and we're gonna trim off these end pieces, and then we'll be able to start work on the back so that we can get that front welded back on. So let me get it flipped over and show you where we're at. So before we get it flipped over, I just wanted to show you that I've peeled the two ends back, exposing the inner side portion, because we're gonna have to cut that lip off so that we get that nice clean lip to butt to. And I've done the same on this side. Bang that flat back, and we've got a little nick in our back portion there where I had to cut a little deeper. I would have liked to have missed doing that, but not a problem, easily fixed when we get around to welding the back. So I can flip it over now. I just thought I didn't want to miss that part before I flipped it over to show you. Because the inside of the doors here and these brackets in the back that give the door structure and strength are all in good shape. So let me get it flipped over now. Okay, got the door flipped. You can see here, there's our flap we peeled back. And if you look here, the fold on the rest of the door, and the reason that we're saving these doors, or attempting to, is because there's no rust on that seam, factory seam whatsoever. This door is in great shape other than the bottom of it. So what we need to do now is to clip this little flap here off of there so that we can properly fit the base once we get this all rebuilt. We'll be cutting more of this out and rebuilding it, but we have to start by removing what we don't need. So let me just clip that off, hammer it out of the way, and then I'll show you. Okay, there we go. This is removed. So this edge here is the proper distance out for bending this lip over. And we've got some work to do here on the back side to fix that, and we got to build the front up. So we're going to have to replace those pieces. And then as we work down here, we're missing a whole bunch here. But what we do have right here, which is kind of crucial, is we have the original length of lip here that we're going to need to tuck it into this door skin. So I'm going to go by that. I could just put the skin on the other side, line it up properly, and then guess from there. But I think I'm going to knock this down, bend it, and that'll give me my true dimensions. So here, if we're doing the inside back, we need to be 3/4 out from this sloping bend that's down in here. And if we come down here and we measure it here, we get the same 3/4 of a lip. So as long as we can do a 1-inch lip and then cut it off after, or if you're brave, you can just do it for the 3/4. So what we have to do now is match that exact profile for one piece. And we're going to break this bottom section up into 3 pieces. But this one piece that runs from this seam here down the door to this seam here needs a 3/4-inch lip after we make that bottom turn. But we need to come up high enough to replace all this too. So we're going to copy that profile exactly. We're going to go across the bottom 3/4, up, in, and up again, so that we can weld along this fold and get rid of all that cancer. We might have to put a little patch right in there, but we're going to try and save the rest of it. So let's cut that out and get ready for the new piece coming back in. All right. Okay, so we've cut out this side and left us a little lip there that we may or may not need, but we've left it. Come along here. We're going to cut that again, but we've roughed it out for now to get rid of the rust, and we've left ourselves a little lip there. This is obviously going to have to get replaced, but we're going to cut this piece first. So to do that, we're going to need something that's about 40 inches long. So we're going to start with 40 inches. So we'll cut ourselves a flat piece that's, sorry for the camera work, I only have 2 hands, 40 inches long, and I'm going to say about 5 inches. Let me just double check that here. This piece. This is what we cut off. So let's see what we're going to need there. We need 3/4 on top of there, which is 3 now. 4. 4 is going to do it. So we need a 4x40 piece of sheet metal that we can start bending. So let me get that cut and let's get at her. All right. There's our piece, all cut 4 inches by, I think I did it like 41, 42. I had a little nick at the corner and the sheet was already cut at 42 inches. So I just zipped me a long straight line. And I don't know which one it was. I guess it was this one. There we go. Nice and straight. All right. So what do we do now? Well, now the fun begins, because now we've got to bend that profile into that sheet. And then we can tack it, cut and butt along this seam here, and then start working on our corners so we can get our front piece on. So let me set up, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm going to shock you how I'm going to do this. So hang on one sec. All right, there's our piece that we cut off. And that first edge is a kind of soft rolled edge. And you can see it here, the side profile. It's not sharp. So what I did was I needed 3/4 of an inch to stick out, and then the rolled edge. So I marked 2 lines, And we're going to be bending across the line closest to us here. What am I using to make that bend? Right there. I'm showing you how you can do this without any fancy tools. There are lots of ways to do this, and I suggest you head over. I'll put a link in the description to Fitzy's channel, where Fitzy shows you how to do amazing work with very basic tools. And that's what I'm going to try and show you today. Normally, I might put this over a big bit of angle iron and just pound on it. I may do that here, seeing how this goes. But I need a soft bend. So I'm going to do it by hand gradually from one end to the other. So let me get at that. And I'll show you in stages on how it goes. Okay. So I've got my 2 rough bends in. Don't worry about the little humps and bumps and stuff like that. We're going to bang all those out. I've marked on my next line, which is that one, which represents that lower round piece there. This has to be much softer. So we're going to use the vise to hammer this one out. We slide it in there and we hammer down on it. And we bend it around. So let me get at that and I'll show you what that looks like. All right. I've been hammering away at this in the vise. And you can see there, line it up perfectly. I've got to soften this upper edge, get more of a roll on it. But there, we've got the distance perfect. So I'm just hammering it out on the vise, one little bit at a time. And she's coming. That sharp edge, this one up here, we can soften that on the edge of the vise by hammering on this side. So I got 2 more bends to do. Let me mark it, and I'll just show you this end, because this end's turning out really nice. You can see there, that's marrying up perfect. Look at that. Can't beat that. All right, and all this with a vise, pair of vice grips, and a hammer. I know you're saying, "Oh, Colin, you put that in a brake, you'd be done in 10 minutes." Yeah, I don't own a brake, so we do it the old-fashioned way, without one. And I could make a little hand brake, welding 2 bits of flat bar together, trapping it in a couple of bits of square tube, and just bend it by hand, 12 inches at a time. Could do it that way. But what I'd like to show you, and the purpose of this whole channel, is that you can't use not having the proper tools as an excuse. And with a little bit of ingenuity and not a lot of money, you can make yourself 2 braided door bottoms. It's not hard. So let me keep hammering away here and make these 2 other bends. All right. There's our piece. Still bumpy, humpy, crude. I got to hammer it out flat, but she fits. She's not welded in. She's just sitting there all on her own. I've got a little tinkering to do right along here to get her to pull in a little bit. And we are a little short. We're going to have to put a lip on the bottom, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually going to work out better, but would have been nice to get it all in one piece. And if I had a brake, probably could have done it really easily with one piece. But I'm going to tack her in now. I've got her fitting. I have it fitting pretty good here. It's got to go up a tiny little bit. But and I've got to recut along here to butt it in. But you get the idea. Like I said, she's a little humpy and bumpy, but we'll hammer her out, clean her up. We get the dolly. Once we've welded her in, we'll get the dolly in the back and start tapping. And she'll be looking quite fine. Anyway, let me start tack welding. All right, so we've done some tacking. I've still got to do some bending there to get that to marry up. But we tack. And what we've done at this end is I started filling it in. Just working way along. We don't have to distribute the heat so much here because we got so many angles we're going. So I don't have gas. So it's Splatter City. But the joys of doing this on a budget. So anyway, so far so good. I'm just going to work my way along here and keep at her. I think I should be singing like, she ain't pretty, but she looks that way, or something like that. I don't forget how that goes. Anyway, yes, there's my splatter filled mess. Welded all the way down. I have yet to get in with the hammer and straighten everything up, but we're good and solid. Everything fits the way it should back to the original seam. And that's important. You know, guys that put patches on and the original seams disappear and that kind of stuff, do it right, you know, because it's just going to stand out like a sore thumb once you get it done that you know, you patched over it or something. The whole goal is to try and get these things on so that the car doesn't look like it's been butchered. So anyway, I've got I forgot to mention this, the speaker hole has been butchered. And I managed to salvage from the parts car. Those doors were just trashed. But I managed to salvage the inside speaker portion. So I'm going to cut and weld that in just to get the door all the way back to normal. That's pretty much it. I'm going to take grinder to this. And then we're going to have to wait for day 2. For you, it'll be a minute. For me, it's going to be many hours. But I started late today. So that was as far as I got. And I guess it'll be tomorrow before we get the skin on the front. We still got to put a lip on the bottom. I'll explain when we get there. Okay. I'm going to do some grinding before I pack it in for the night. All right, just started to grind and clean that up a little bit. I got a lot more to do. I just wanted to see what it looked like tonight before I packed it in. Got a couple little pinholes there I got to deal with that I didn't get, and a little bit more grinding to do. But it comes up nice right there. Got a little bit more to do here. Anyway, getting there. Okay, I'm out here for night 2, and I've been hacking away. Grinding, welding, you know, making a mess. And just wanted to show you, you know, it's a part-time gig, right? Got a full-time job. So get a couple hours in tonight before I crash. So I just wanted to show you where we're at. Okay. Got around the corner there, built that up, had a bunch of holes, pinholes, all sorts of stuff. I've still got the odd little pinhole I got to deal with, but we're nice and straight. We got the worst of it. I don't like to grind too deep onto the welds, so I leave it a little messy. I mean, you can see here, I grinded the weld right out, and it gets thin. And I still got to deal with that in. But I don't like making it too thin. As far as I'm concerned, it's a lot better to leave a little bit of unevenness and come back in with some filler and just fill that up. But let me get the nice sloping curve there. And really all you're trying to do is bring the original body lines back and make sure that it clears the car when the door closes. So that's basically it. I've got some pinholes down here I got to deal with. I always have to go back over it a second time because, you know, my welding's not the greatest, and I'm going to be the first one to admit that. And I'm working with a Lincoln Make Pack 40, and some of this metal's a little thin, so burning through it's fairly easy. And like I said, I taught myself how to weld watching Fitzy, and I learned enough that I can hack away at these. But I guarantee you, once I'm done and this is all finished up, I'll be quite proud of it. And so this is your pep talk, because, you know, guys love putting YouTube videos out where they're, you know, show their 20 years of experience and get things perfect every time. And that's not the real world. You know, if you're a hobbyist and you do this part-time and this is something that you want to learn how to do, don't be scared. Get at it. Welding was one of the last things I learned how to do. And I've put quarter panels on cars, and actually I've been quite proud of the work I've done. So, you know, I've got some bashing to do on this to straighten out a couple of little bits. But when I'm done and the rubber goes on there, I'm going to be quite proud of this. And I'll have a functioning door that doesn't have any cancer in it anymore. All right, so this took me quite a while tonight. I got a couple hours in here now. So I'm going to pack it in for tonight. And I'll be right back at it tomorrow when I get home from work. Okay, I'm back from meeting Ron for the first time. And here's what we picked up. Fender aprons. Welcome. I'm Colin, and this is story time. Welcome to a special edition of Story Time with Colin. Join me today on Auto Parts